So how's it going, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the channel. Today, guys, we'll be talking about the Blackwing structure deck and its full potential for the current meta nowadays, and whether or not, if ever you're still indecisive in buying the structure deck in general, this is the video for you. If not, and you just want to check out deck profile and some game replays, there is one that I'll recommend for you guys. I already made one thing there that is very optimized for the rank, and it can go up against tier elements as well. So it's actually in the top right corner. If you're watching this video, you can click on that one. It will direct you to that video for my deck profile on the optimized version for the Blackwing. For today, if ever you're still deciding on whether or not to buy 3 copies of this structure deck, this is the video for you. So to start off, we're gonna make like a basic deck profile with regards to the Blackwing structure deck, or from the Blackwing structure deck. Let's get into the structure deck first, and let's check those cards out. Alright guys, so here is the structure deck for the Blackwings. Now if you bought one copy, this is its components. All of the Blackwing supports are all here. Now I don't think there is some cards here that supports another archetype generically. Most of the cards I've noticed here are all Blackwing supports, and I'm not sure. Just comment down below if I missed anything that supports another archetype. So with that, guys, I am gonna pick up some of the cards that is unnecessary for the deck and try to build up some of the cards later on. I'll get back to you in a bit. Just hold on. Alright guys, so these are the usable cards for the Blackwing deck. 13 out of the 40 cards in the main deck is not half bad actually to have in your deck. And by far, if you manage to acquire 3 copies of the structure deck, then it's easy enough to compile it to almost 40 cards. Also, the extra deck is very generous enough to give you a copy of the Assault Dragon, which is really good for the deck. Of course, this is also a Tax Dragon, but unlike Masquerade, the Blazing Dragon, this only affects monster activation or resolves after the activation of the monster. And the new Boreas Storm, the Wicked Wind, which is a really good card to dump a copy of your Zephyros. First of all, let's pile up some of the cards or get some more cards into this deck profile, and we'll talk about this in a while. Alright, so first and foremost, we have the Sharnga, which is, I think this is at the TCG exclusive Sharnga, and I do believe it is really good, but you just need one copy of this for this deck. Furthermore, you don't want to break on this one, by the way, so just having one copy is enough. For the effect of Harmattan is a really good card. You can actually special summon this to the field and then increase its level by the targeted Blackwing monster. So if you targeted like a level 4, you'll increase your level or this monster's level by 4, so making it a level 6. You can go for 2 copies of this since we are using only the structure deck basically. And then we have a copy of Vata, which is a really good card to actually be added into this structure deck. So I believe adding 3 copies of this, not only that this card is a tuner, this card can also tribute itself and one other monster from your deck to the graveyard for a synchro summon of level 8 the Blackwing Dragon. So that's a really good card to actually use it on. And then you have a copy of Shinnok. I do believe having 3 copies of this is okay, but in some cases or in some builds that I've seen by far, people are just using this like 2 to 3. I do believe having or just limiting you to 2 copies for this card is quite necessary. But for the build in this deck, we'll get for 3 copies, alright? And then 1 copy of Bora the Spear, a really good card to spell summon to the field since it is an extra body that you'll need for a synchro summon. And then you'll have Zephyros. You basically need 2 copies of this if you're using just a structure deck, and by far having just 2 copies of this is very fun actually to use. I think most of you already know the effect of this card, just bouncing any card on the field and then spell summoning this to your field. Now your go-to target for this always or all the time is the Black Feathered Whirlwind, which is a soft once per turn. And then we'll have a copy of Oster. We'll decide later on whether or not to let Oster stay in this deck. But at the moment, we're just gonna add him, of course. Its effect is retrieving 1 banished Blackwing monster and then special summoning it to your side of the field. So it's a really good card, but if we have room, then why not? If not, let's remove the bird. And then we have Shamal. So the new card added into this lineup, I do believe having or to max this up to 3 copies. This is a really good level 4 monster, and it is also a tuner. Not only that, if you synchro summoned a Blackwing monster, you can bounce back 1 Blackwing card from your graveyard, or basically Blackwing monster from your graveyard to your hand. So that's a really good effect right there. And then you'll have a copy of Sudri. Max this out to 3 copies. It is one of the best level 4s that you'll have in your deck or in your arsenal. So you can retrieve any card that mentions any Blackwing dragon in its name. So it's a really good card effect. Also, you can tribute 1 card to spell summon 1 level 2 tuner token that you can use for a Synchro Sun. And then you'll have, where am I? A copy of Simone. Max this out to 3 copies. Not only Simone can be an additional normal summon to your this turn's normal summon. This card can also search and activate directly from your deck to your field a copy of Black Whirlwind, which is you'll use later on. So that is basically your monsters there, guys. That's more than 20 copies, so more than half of the deck that you are already making. So with regards to the spell and traps, we'll have Black Whirlwind, which is a really good spell card that you'll use for the archetype. Basically, each normal summon that you do, you can search out any Blackwing card as long as its attack is less than the 1 normal summon to the field. So if you normal summon, like for example, a Sudri to the field, which has 1,400 attack, you can get a hold of any Blackwing monster which is 1/3 or lower. So it's either one of those. And then we have a Black Feather Whirlwind, which of course you just max out to 2 copies. I tried this on 3 copies. It got me to break from time to time. Having 2 copies on a starting hand is not a fun thing to do. Although it stacks, by the way, if ever you activate 2 copies of this on the field, it will prompt the effect once you Synchro Summon. But it's a soft once per turn, by the way. So it's still going to be usable even just on 1 copy on the field. But yeah, on your deck, just have 2 copies of this max. And then you'll have the last card, which is the Twin Shadow, a really good card. If you have 2 face-up Blackwing monsters on the field, you can directly use it from your hand to the field. Target 1 monster from the banish zone or in your graveyard that is a tuner and a non-tuner, and then sync off to any Blackwing monster that you really want to summon to the field. So that is the main deck, guys. I do believe, oh yeah, the Twin Shadow, go for 2 copies of this. But with regards to the number of copies, it is debatable at the moment because some people are actually using like 1 copy of this at max because they're using some other cards for in their arsenal. But we'll talk about it in a bit. For now, this is the main deck, guys. A composition of 29 cards at the moment. So we are more than half of our 40 card deck that we acquired from the 3 copies of the structure deck. So it's really good for the Blackwings. Extra deck now, we're gonna tackle the Wicked Wind. I do believe going for 2 copies of this. Wicked Wind is a really good card to be on the field. Dumps a copy of, like I said earlier, Zephyros, and then Zephyros will do its thing and then bounce a copy of Whirlwind, where you can go for your combo later on. The monster dumped to the field, it will copy its level, so basically be careful on what you dump to the graveyard, because this might be useless if ever you'll dump an unnecessary card. Furthermore, this is one of the cards needed to summon into a Blackwing Assault Dragon, which of course it is really fun if you have this on the field. But yeah, next we have Blackwing Dragon, which is a level 8 Synchro monster. Having to max this out of 3 copies, but I think it's just too much. Go for 2 copies at best. But for the sake of this build, go for 3 copies. Use the whole structure deck to its fullest capacity. So 3 copies of this. And then lastly, we have the 3 copies of Blackwing Assault Dragon, which is a really good card. Like I said earlier, it can nuke, and of course, it can just tribute the monsters in the graveyard or on the field out of play to summon this card on the field. So it's a really good level 10, which is a 3-200 body that is somewhat more than the expected damage of some of the monsters nowadays. So that is more than half of the extra deck that we actually composed. Now let's add some of the cards that we'll use basically for the current meta. So to start off, we put hand traps, of course. Now with regards to the Maxi or Ash Blossom, I do prefer going with just Maxi. If you wanted to go with 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Maxi, I'll advise you now that it's really bricky. So you'll go into a brick wherein you'll have Ash Blossom or Maxi as one of its copies and less copies of Blackwing monsters during your starting hand. But it's really up to you. For me, just having just Maxi on the deck is just enough. And then, since we're going up against tier elements, I think having 2 copies of DD Crow is enough. That's really up to you guys if you want to use 1 copy of DD Crow, but I prefer just having 2. And then go for Cobra Graves, really needed for the deck. and then 3 copies of Evenly Match, I would say, and then 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence. And that is more than 40 cards. So at this point on, we'll just have to cut most of the cards here. So let's see here. Remove 1 copy of Zephyros, I would say. And then Oster. That's a really good card. Now you can go max out a copy of Infinite Impermanence if you wish, or not. If you don't have any URs, go for SRs. I think much better if you go for an additional draw power. So go for Allure of Darkness, a really good draw into most of your monsters, which of course they're all dark, so you don't have to worry about like discarding all your cards on hand. So that is your main deck, guys. Let's move towards the extra deck. So to start it all off, we go for the Blackwings and then tick on the Synchro. So the Blackwing Synchro monster that we'll need is, so primarily guys, I will advise you now, 2 Blackwing monsters that you really need for the deck is first and foremost a copy of Nothong. Nothong gives you an additional normal summon on top of your turn's normal summon, so it's a really good card to be on the field. Of course, it is only a level 6 that you can easily summon to the field. So have 1 copy of this, and the second Blackwing card that you'll need is the Full Armor Master. Now, typically almost everyone have a copy of this on its royal finish. Thank you for Konami for giving us this, so you don't have to worry about crafting it. So that's that. And then also, since you have an additional 30 URs, you can go for Baron on the Floor. But at this point on, I think most of the people already have a copy of Baron on the Floor. So I think that's pretty much what you'll need for the deck. It's the only non-dark monster that you'll have for the deck. Now, if you are still have like 30 URs left, go for Draco Berserker of Tenyi. So Draco not only is good for the Sword Souls, it is good for this type of deck as well, being a Synchro and a Dark monster for its usage. Oh yeah, I forgot. Just add 1 copy of, like for example, add an additional level 7 if you want, in case you want to gain more attack for a monster. Or no, wait, just add this one. This is much more useful for the deck. So this card targets up to 2 face-up monsters on the field and destroy them. So that's a really good card effect. Usually you'll use this with the Twin Shadow during your opponent's turn, but be careful enough. Do not use this in Chain Link 2 and onwards or upper, because you'll miss the timing. So go for Chain Link 1 first on this effect into Silver Wind, so that you can use its effect. So that's a really good effect there during your opponent's turn. Now the remaining 2 monsters for the extra deck, I do believe just having a copy of an Exe monster is what you'll need. So go for, in my own opinion, go for Raiders into an Arc Rebellion. So Arc Rebellion is a good card to go from Raiders Knight. So Raiders Knight, the detach 1, go for an upper Exe rank, and then you'll go for Arc Rebellion. Discard 1 and or detach 1, and then go for accumulative damage for an OTK. That is it. Now, if you don't have a copy of this, I would advise just going for a Baguska play, or even some other SR cards that you might use. So basically, or typically, but I do prefer going for Arc Rebellion. It saved me from time winning the game. And even so, most of your monsters are level 4, so it's easy enough to summon to the field, especially with the addition of Bora. You can just easily go for a rank play. So that is the deck profile, guys. Now we'll be going to solo mode just to test out a 2-card combo with this deck. So yeah, without further ado, let's go to solo mode. Alright guys, so here we are with solo mode, and I'll be showcasing a 2-card combo with the Blackwing. So first and foremost, we have Sudri and our Black Whirlwind, which is our 2-card combo. So we use first our Black Whirlwind, normal summon, and then normal summon our Sudri, use its effect, Chain Link 1 and Chain Link 2 for the Black Whirlwind. Now the card for you need to search here first is a copy of our Vata, which we can spell summon to the field. With the effect of Sudri, we search out a copy of Shamal, which we can get a copy of our Black Feather Whirlwind. Alright, now before I go into this combo, please take note there are 2 monsters in the Blackwing archetype that locks you into dark monsters only. one of which is Vata. So once you use the effect of Vata by synchro summoning itself and one monster from your deck, you are now locked into dark monsters from the extra deck. Also, this goes with the same with Simone. If you use the effect of Simone for an additional normal summon, of course, and retrieving a copy of your Black Whirlwind, you are now locked into a dark monster only for your extra deck. So be careful in using those effects before you even summon Baron the Floor. So now, at this point on, we spell summon our Vata. Now, we don't want to use any of those effects here because we'll need them for a summon of our Wicked Wind. So once this is activated, or this monster is summoned to the field, 3 cards will prompt its effect. Or trigger its effect, I mean. So one will be the Wicked Wind. We send a copy of our Zephyrus to the graveyard. Chain Link 2 will be the Black Feather Whirlwind, which we retrieve a copy of our Vata or any monster anywhere from the battlefield zone or in the graveyard. But for the sake of this combo, we go for Vata. And the last chain trigger effect will be for the Shamal, which will bounce back a copy of our Shudri to our hand. So there we go. So he'll summon the Vata. And then send a copy to the graveyard, Zephyrus. Alright, so at this point on, we use the effect of Zephyrus. Bounce back the effect of Black Feather Whirlwind. Spell summon itself to the field. Use the effect of Whirlwind. And then go for our extended play, which is for the Nathang. And here is why Nathang is really important for the Blackwing deck. There we go. So you need to have Nathang face up on the field to prompt an additional normal summon. So don't use it first for a synchro summon or as a fodder. So we prompt the effect of Whirlwind since it's a soft once per turn. So at this point, we'll need to target Vata still to gain more gas into our combo. There we go. Then Nathang will burn, and then we are now able to normal summon an additional one. There we go. And then prompt the effect of Black Whirlwind. So what you'll get here is typically a copy of more monsters that you need to spell summon to the field. So my choice here is getting a copy of either the Harmattan or a copy of Sharnga, but I think Sharnga is much better. We can go for an additional normal summon later. And then for this, we go for another copy of just one for that. Yeah, we can go for, since we already used most of the card effects here, we can go for the Chinook, which we'll use during our opponent's turn. So at this point on, since we have these monsters, we are now free to spell summon Baron the Floor with this and with the Nathang. There we go. And then now we can spell summon this to the field. Use the effect of the Vata, spell summon the level 8 Darkwing Dragon. There we go. Now you can go for this play right here. I have a level 6 here. Yeah, I think this is plausible. Since we have a copy of our Twin Shadow, we don't want to use it during our opponent's turn, but if in case we have it and you want to use it, just use it anyway. We go for that. Level 4 and 1 should be a level... Since that was a level 4 tuner, we go for level 6. And then we go for full armor. There we go. Full armor to the field. That's pretty good, right? So that's that. And the best part about Sharnga is once in the graveyard, you can pop one card on your opponent's field. So there we go. And then summon this card. I think I made a mistake because I can just spell summon this with, I think I have a second copy. Yeah, I had a second copy right there. I can spell summon the second one, but yeah, this is actually a waste. But yeah, we're supposed to have like 2 copies of the Wing Assault. I shouldn't have used it for a summon of Wicked Wind. But needless to say, that's perfectly fine. So at this point on, we have our board, a copy of the Assault Dragon, 1 full armor, 1 Omni Negate, 1 Monster Negate, 1 DD Crow, and typically an evenly matched that we can use later on. So that is the basic combo for this deck on the 2-card combo. So that's basically the game right there, guys. That is a simple combo that you can use for your gameplays with the new structure deck. Now there, the optimized version for this, I have a gameplay for that. You can check that one out, like I said earlier on my video. And yeah, like and subscribe for more contents like this in the future, and hopefully you like this kind of content. I'll see you guys in the next video. Babush!